My entitled Karen sister invades my life during a visit, says terrible things about me and my wife, and then calls back demanding that I apologize to her. So to set the scene, I am a soldier in the United States Army, so I don't get to see my family back home often, and we have this thing called staff duty, where we basically make sure soldiers don't burn down the barricades, and it's all for a 24-hour shift. I had just gotten home to my wife, and I was getting ready to sleep due to not sleeping for a whole day and night. And of course, I got a phone call from my sister saying that she wants to fly in. Me and my wife were dealing with less than subpar roommates, along with a landlord threatening an eviction notice. Later that day, I fell asleep and talked to my wife about what my sister talked to me about, and we agreed to try and talk to her about coming in at a later time when me and my wife find a new place to live and have our lives situated at the time, as we were super stressed out and are currently dealing with some financial issues. My entitled sister still decided that she was going to fly out and visit me and my wife, so wholeheartedly, we agreed to let her stay in our apartment on the couch. It wasn't ideal, but it's what we had. Our apartment is absolute garbage. Honestly, the whole building needs to come down. No matter how spotless me and my wife made the apartment, there are still roaches coming from our neighbors. Anyways, the night my entitled sister flies in, me and my wife made a plan to see the new Harry Potter movie, and we had already bought the tickets, and to include my entitled sister, we bought her a ticket as well. Fast forward from normal catching up conversation, and I mentioned to my sister that me and my wife were going to take her to see the new Harry Potter movie. My entitled sister then scuffs up her nose and complains about being tired and says, I don't like Harry Potter anyways, and I don't want to go. I want to take a nap. Reluctantly, we run her to our apartment and let her take a nap. The time zone is weird where we lived compared to everywhere else, so me and my wife understood that she was probably just jet lagged. We lay out the air mattress we keep for guests and brought out pillows and blankets, and me and my wife enjoyed our date night as follows. The next morning, my entitled sister wakes up at 6 in the morning and knocks on our bedroom door. I immediately wake up suddenly and put on a pair of shorts and ask if everything's all right. My entitled sister then proceeds to try and rush me to get dressed because she had so many plans that she had not discussed with me or my wife. Keep in mind also, it's been 4 years since I've seen my sister, so my wife wanted me and her to hang out while she packs more for moving out. I told my sister I just worked a 24-hour shift recently and that I hadn't slept much due to packing and trying to move. At first she's calm and even says sorry and lets me sleep. However, once I'm awake, I'm fully awake, like for the entire day. So I shower, shave, and put on some comfy clothes to show my sister around the army base and also take care of an errand and let her look at the surrounding bases. We even went out and got something to eat, and at least she paid for her own meal. Around noon, I told my sister I needed to go home for a few hours to take a nap and help my wife pack. And in all honesty, God bless that beautiful woman, because I work a lot and she's done so much in the apartment. My entitled sister immediately gets upset. She says, but I wanted to get a matching tattoo with you. I say, I'm sorry, but my wife needs help at home. I don't know how you or your husband's marriage work, but me and my wife usually try to do everything together. And we're introverts, so this is honestly the most we've been out in a while. My sister says, well, maybe I should tell Grandma and Grandpa that you and your wife are living in a filthy house and that your wife is lazy. And again, to reiterate, our apartment was really dirty from the trashy people we were legitimately in the middle of moving out. And she also visited us unexpectedly. And my beautiful wife, once again, honest to God, works her butt off when I can't come home to help. So I said, all right, let me go home and grab something and tell my wife. Mind you, this was all after listening to her complain about the tattoos for the whole morning as I was giving her a tour of the military bases. So my wife said, that's fine. She was going to take a nap anyways. I thought it was going to be a simple design that wouldn't take too long, so I wasn't too worried about being gone for a long time. Fast forward to the tattoo shop. My entitled sister already picked the design out and the colors and told the artist I wanted the same thing. I tried to talk, but as rough and tumble as the army is, I'm still very timid and a quiet person, and she immediately cuts me off and says, this is the tattoo we're getting. Not gonna lie, I kind of liked the design, but didn't want to be away from home, as I've been gone all morning. Again, I didn't fight her because she's my big sister, but honest to God, I wish my sister would let me be my own person. So after we get our tattoos, we get to my apartment, and I lay down and cuddle with my wife for a whole 10 minutes before before my sister knocked on our bedroom door. She says, "Hurry up, I want to go to the beach." I told her, I'm sorry, but I told you I needed a nap. My sister says, "Well, you only have 1 hour, so you better be ready." Now, my wife is a softie, but not when it comes to me. I've never seen my wife so angry before. I thought I was going to have to restrain her from hitting my sister, but to my surprise, she spoke in a calm manner. She said, "You're not at home. You're visiting us in our home. Your brother worked 24 hours and only got 4 hours of sleep before we had to pick you up from the airport. You can gladly go to the living room and watch TV. He is exhausted and doesn't want to wreck his car because of you dragging him around like a dog when you're the one visiting." Dumbfounded, all my sister could say was, "All right." Skip ahead to a few hours later, after a well-earned nap, and I'm discussing with my wife what to do next because I'm a homebody and I'm not really sure. And honestly, so is she. And between the two of us, we got into a small argument. It wasn't a loud argument by any means, but enough to alert my roommates because they went over, knocked on our door, and told us that my sister had left the apartment without letting anybody know. I run down the stairs because our elevators are slow and ended up running a 4-mile radius looking for her. When I found her walking on the sidewalk by a hospital, she was crying. My sister said, "I don't want to be the reason you and your wife argue. I don't feel welcome here." I said, "You're in an unfamiliar place and me and you have been out all day and we have done so much and have one more surprise for you. It's gonna be okay." Anyways, so I talked her into coming back into the building, but she refused to go into our apartment. Now, I am a genuinely calm and collected person, but I was about to lose my mind. I ended up running back up the stairs to get my wife to have her convince my sister to come back upstairs into the apartment. So she's finally back in the apartment, and 30 minutes later, everyone's getting ready to go and have a good night together. And lo and behold, my entitled sister is once again on the porch trying to guilt trip me, all because she claims that she's having a horrible time and she didn't get to do anything she wanted to do, despite us literally doing everything that she wanted to do. She was even reluctant to go out to the bar with us, so I ended up having just to tell her where we were going just so she could get up, get dressed, and get ready. So we get to the bar and everyone is having a good time except her. Surprise, surprise. She kept sending the same drink back multiple times, and I could tell the waitress was really tired of her. Ultimately, she had an overall terrible experience, got upset, and basically left it to us to pay for her drinks. She told my wife something along the lines of, "Since I'm a guest of yours, I shouldn't have to pay for my drinks." And to add insult to injury, while we were at the bar, our car ended up getting towed. My wife wasn't sure where to put it, so we basically lost our car. As a result of us not having our car, my entitled sister just took an Uber to the airport and took an early flight to go home. We even offered to get the car and still take her to the airport if she really wanted to leave now. After that whole fiasco, I haven't heard from my entitled sister in a very long time. That is until roughly 4 days ago. It was silly of me, but I asked for marriage advice on Facebook. I was expressing my feelings towards multiple things going on in my life, and I just needed to vent. Not only did my entitled sister blast my business on social media, she then proceeds to say a lot of rotten things about my wife and me, and ends up threatening my wife along with her baby sister-in-law and a few of my family from my wife's side. As a result of that, I ended up blocking her, and I explained the reason I was blocking her was because of the terrible things she said. My wife ended up following suit, and I was honestly hoping that would be the last thing I would hear from my sister. But we don't get off that easy because my sister still wasn't done. Fast forward to today, and guess what? I have staff duty again. I get a text from my brother-in-law asking if I can talk to him on the phone. I agreed, and I was greeted by none other than my entitled sister. She says, "I'm sorry for calling your wife all those nasty things online, and I didn't threaten anyone or say anything in those screenshots." Yeah, I screenshot everything she said and sent it to my wife, and yes, she did. "You came to me with your silly little issues, and now you have to apologize for ruining my trip and for not taking me to the airport and the emotional stress that has caused my family." And at that point, I cut her off and told her to call when she was ready for a real apology. This lady is crazy, and this guy in this story and his wife have way more patience than I would have. To think that a family member would probably travel overseas to see you on your military base after having a busy schedule and then to act like this is absolutely insane to me. When you're at someone's house, you are their guest and you are beholden to their rules. And if you can't act right, then you probably shouldn't show up at all.
The full version of this story is on the Am I the Jerk YouTube channel, so check out the link in the description for it, and if there are any updates, that's where they'll be. And if you happen to use TikTok, even if it's only every once in a while, I definitely would recommend checking out the Am I the Jerk TikTok. at AmITheA. It's a great way to catch up on some old and new random stories here we have on the channel, but you might not actually ever be able to see them over here on YouTube. So check out the AmITheA TikTok.